This is KTEX's News at 10.
New at 10, an Army veteran from Brownwood among the 7 killed in the Odessa mass shooting. Good evening, everyone. I'm Will Jensen.
And I'm Courtney Brown. Cameron Brown was shot and killed in front of Ratcliffe Stadium in Odessa. A lone bullet went through the window of his work truck. Brown, who graduated from Coleman High School, was a member of the Army and had served in Afghanistan.
A GoFundMe page has been created to help cover funeral costs. You can find a link to that page on our website at ktxs.com. And we have live team coverage from Odessa tonight. KTEX's reporter AJ Gersh is live from the shooter's home where he spoke with a neighbor.
But we start tonight with our KTEX's anchor, Veronica Soto, who was at a vigil held tonight in honor of those victims. Veronica?
Good evening, everyone. That vigil was not held far from this Buick GMC dealership where you could see crime scene tape is still up. Hundreds of people turning out for that vigil at UT Permian Basin to grieve the one person that was killed here and the 6 other victims. One funeral home offering to pay for the funeral expenses of those victims.
We want to help them families. We don't want them to feel like they're alone.
Ray Chapa, who works at La Paz Purchase Funeral Home, says the owner has offered funeral services at no cost to the families of the Odessa mass shooting. It's the second time in less than a month the El Paso-based chain has done so.
How we're going to defeat this epidemic, or whatever you want to call it, is by love and by helping one another.
Chapa says the families of 3 of the 7 victims have already reached out. La Paz is hoping they can help honor the innocent lives lost in Saturday's deadly crime spree.
I watched her grow up. And
Haley Wilkerson is thankful the youngest survivor made it. She's a daycare worker in Odessa. She says she can't imagine what the parents of little Anderson Davis are going through.
a hole in her tongue, a hole in her bottom lip, and her front teeth are knocked out.
Wilkerson started a GoFundMe page for the 17-month-old, and already it has more than $145,000 donated.
I went to bed to the point where I was wanting to puke last night. It was just, you know, it hits close to home. Like, it could have been my kids that happened.
So many others say they're feeling just as heartsick about the violence and came together at the University of Texas Permian Basin for a vigil.
To think that a mom lost her 15-year-old, that's hard. We're supposed to go before our children, not our children before us.
Their prayers echo so many across the country that the mass shootings end. And at that vigil, people declaring themselves Permian strong, saying that they're going to get through this. Also, city leaders thanking the first responders in Midland, Odessa, saying that thanks to their bravery and fast response, further bloodshed was prevented. Take a look at that video from earlier today. There were cheers in the crowd as the city's mayor acknowledged the bravery of law enforcement and 2 officers and 1 state trooper that were hurt in that crossfire with the gunman. The mayor says Odessa Midland feels the support of the nation, receiving a call from the White House yesterday and many other mayors from across the country. Still, hearts were heavy tonight for the loss of those 7 victims who were shot and killed. And as for the gunman who is responsible for the deaths of those 7 individuals, he was identified as 36-year-old Seth Adder, and that's where we find our KTEX's reporter AJ Gersh at Adder's home. AJ explaining the challenges that came with this mass shooting, the investigation that involved 15 crime scenes.
That's right, Veronica. We're here in West Odessa, just about 30 minutes outside of where you are, at this active crime scene. It's the home of the alleged shooter. It's one of over 15 active crime scenes in the area that remain under investigation tonight. Nerves rattled in Odessa.
And you don't expect something like this to happen to you and pour into this community, and it does happen.
It was a drive-by massacre, leaving 7 dead and 22 injured. But this crime is unlike mass shootings we've seen before.
Please understand this is a different type of active shooter that we were involved with because it was mobile. and that creates a very special type of issue.
15 active crime scenes means a much more difficult and thorough investigation for over 40 Texas Rangers and 130 from the FBI. But what makes this crime unusual is how spread apart they are. Many are small and isolated, like this vehicle here, hit by stray bullets.
We have worked very closely in the past with DPS and the Texas Rangers. In fact, the very same team that worked at the Sutherland Springs mass shooting is the team that's here from the Rangers, along with the FBI team that did that crime scene as well.
And that investigation spreading further west of Odessa. At 11 a.m. on Sunday, the FBI conducted a raid at this home. According to Ector County property records, 36-year-old Seth Ader purchased this lot in January of 2018 for just under $10,000. And that gold Toyota driven in the mass shooting is registered to this address and under the alleged shooter's name. We spoke with a neighbor who recalls him driving that gold Toyota. She called him, quote, scary, and recalls several instances where he would fire automatic weapons late at night.
It sounds like they're knocking on your door because it's a pat, 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 pat. And I see my mother-in-law getting up, and I get up, and we're both looking, and in the middle of the night, at 3 in the morning.
Well, that neighbor, Macy, actually has a pretty astounding connection to both the shooting this weekend here in Odessa and also the shooting in El Paso. We'll have more on that coverage tomorrow, but for now, we're going to send it back to Veronica Soto. I'm in West Odessa. AJ Gersh, KTexas News.
AJ, thank you. So the big question still tonight, who is Seth Ader? And our reporter, Matthew Seedorf, with our sister station in San Antonio, WOAI, tells us what we know about him so far.
Oh my God! He's gonna kill somebody!
New tense cell phone video shows a portion of yesterday's deadly chase and shooting rampage.
Oh my God!
Tonight, authorities in Odessa, Texas, choosing to not say the shooter's name.
I'm not naming this subject, and there's a reason for that. I refuse to. I'm not going to give him any notoriety for what he did.
An attack that started with a routine traffic stop. Police off camera now identifying the alleged gunman as 36-year-old Seth Ader.
Is there any reason to believe that this could have been a planned attack?
Again, the investigation is still ongoing, and there's a lot of questions that we just don't have answers to at this point.
Dramatic video outside the Synergy movie theater Saturday shows a massive gun battle with law enforcement. Brooklyn Briles had been going to a nail salon. Unaware, a nearby driver was on a mission to kill.
Definitely unsettling just to think about the fact that you could be walking into a restaurant or walking in to get your nails done and you die.
Tonight, 7 people now dead and more than 20 injured.
I'm heartbroken by the crying of the people of the state of Texas.
Many, like Brooklyn, wondering why the shooter decided to kill.
Your life can be over in the blink of an eye without ever knowing that you got to say goodbye to anybody.
Thank you, Matthew. And just today, a new set of gun laws takes effect here in the state of Texas. Those laws actually loosening restriction on gun ownership. Proponents argue that they will offer people the opportunity to protect themselves, while critics say these changes make people less safe. At a press conference earlier today in Odessa, Governor Greg Abbott defended the new laws and the right to bear arms, while still admitting that a problem needs to be solved.
We need solutions that will keep guns out of the hands of criminals like the killer here in Odessa, while also ensuring that we safeguard Second Amendment rights. And we must do it fast.
At that vigil that ended just a few hours ago, there was no mention of any dividing issue. There was only talk about unification of these two cities, Midland, Odessa, that this mass shooting this time around involved men in uniform, 3 of them, and the city so grateful, saying that their professionalism is not going unnoticed. They're being called true heroes here in Midland, Odessa. I'm reporting live in Odessa. I'm Veronica Soto.
Thank you, Veronica. And Governor Greg Abbott ordered Texas flags to be flown at half-staff through sunset on Thursday in honor of the of the victims in Odessa.
And President Donald Trump says he'll work with Congress to stop mass shootings. Today, he thanked law enforcement for their response to those shootings.
I'd like to thank law enforcement yesterday in Texas. They've been incredible. First responders, law enforcement, the police, the FBI, Governor Abbott, incredible the job they did. It's tragic, but they did an incredible job under the circumstances.
Be sure to stay with KTexas for continuing coverage of the Odessa mass shooting. We'll update you online, on mobile, and on air.